Hi again, great to have you with us here on Leading Edge. I'm your host, Jeff Smith. If you watch TV each and every Sunday morning, chances are you are a political season connoisseur. And this Sunday will be no different. Up and down the networks with less than 40 days to go, you're going to hear from this person and that person for this and for that. And there have been a few constants the last few weeks, especially when it comes to what the polls are showing as the reasons that people are going to go out and vote on November 5th. The economy has led the way for most of the election season, but also ranked high up there has been immigration. And I'm happy to have with us the president and the founder of the Toledo-based Farm Labor Organizing Committee, Baldemar Velasquez, joining us. Baldemar, good to see you. We have known each other for the last few years, and I appreciate you coming in to talk about what has become, I guess, a hotbed topic over the course of this season, really. I guess, is it warranted? Let's start there, because I brought this Ipsos poll data to show you exactly what we're looking at here. And it said, one of the first questions that they asked people was, which of the following topics are the most important issues facing the country as a whole? You may select up to 3. Number 2 was immigration. And it is one of those buzzwords right now. Do you think that's fair, that it should be?
Oh, of course. It's been an issue for us for many, many years, long before it became as
fodder for the politicians.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But it is something that has to be addressed. It's been a long time, serious standing problem in our country, and we need to get it right.
I guess when you say it's been a long-standing problem in our country, we got to get it right. Broaden that a little bit for our viewers. What do you mean? What's wrong there, and what needs to be corrected? Because for people who don't understand, you are an organization that looks to get fair wages for migrant workers, especially here in Northwest Ohio and other parts of the country. But there is a system. There is I guess, a balance system in play here. Yes.
Absolutely, and we're not the politicians. We're the labor people who represents people regardless of their status, regardless of who they are, what color they are. If they're poor and exploited workers, people who work for a living. We're not disabled people that live on social services. We're hardworking people. We deserve a fair day's pay for a fair day of work. And whether they're immigrants, documented, undocumented, whatever color they are, our country has to have a policy of governance for these people to make it right in terms of their status, in terms of their ability to live in our society.
Whittle it down to a local level, and I mean, we can see it from a 30,000-foot view in the national debate that exists. But as far as locally is concerned, and when you talk about closing the border, when you talk about making it tougher for those from Mexico to get into the United States, from any other country to get into the United States, what does that do from your purview to the workers here, to the families here, and so on?
Well, that has a number of responses and different facets to that question, but the most important thing is that however way they come, and for whatever reason they come, everything that's being floating around right now are just like cosmetic treatments, to the problem. Close the border, seal the border, build a wall, all those things. That doesn't address the reality of why the problem exists in the first place. Number one, we've shot ourselves in the foot. We helped create that problem by our long-standing foreign policy and trade agreements that we have with Mexico, Central America, and all the other countries where we get these workers coming from. And until we get that right, until we correct that and have a policy that sustains production where people can stay home and make a living in their own country,
right.
People don't leave their country because they want to. They want to stay and live in, where they were born and raised. But they're forced to come because we've created a situation with the political environment in our foreign policy and trade agreements. If you look back historically, going back the last 40, 50 years, our policy towards Central America and Mexico.
Are you going back to NAFTA? What are we talking here?
You're talking like NAFTA, okay?
Yeah.
NAFTA. The first 3 years of NAFTA, we displaced 3 million corn farmers. Where do you think those corn, when they can't make a living in their own country, they migrate. They're forced to go somewhere where they can work to feed their families. And I don't care how big a wall, how high you build it, the wall's not going to keep a man and a woman from going to where they need to go to feed their family. And so it's like water to a dry spot.
Let me ask you a question. The migrant workers who you deal with year in, year out, are they coming here not only to work, but are their hopes, are their dreams of becoming Americans?
First is to survive. First is to feed their families. First is to try to find a place.
Third.
They're all first as far as they're concerned.
Okay.
It's all wrapped up in the one thing. And that has to do with survival. And I think that they're, like any human being, I don't care who you are, you're going to go to where you need to go to support your family.
Regardless of the laws.
Regardless of the laws. And we created those laws, and we created these situations that we have right now. And we need to fix it. We need to get it right. Number one, we need to, going back to demographics in this country, number one, we're going to need immigrants to replace the workforce that is going out of the workforce. You know, the people to retire and things like that. It shows that we're going to need so many workers to fill in the jobs in order to keep our economy running. So we're going to need immigrants. They're going to be filled by immigrants because we don't have the birth rate in this country to replace the workforce. Number two, that we have in our trade agreements, we have to create a safety net or a way to respond to the consequences of our trade agreements. When we displace people, what's our plan for them? See, we're not as smart as the Europeans are. In the European Union, those who have trade agreements and integrated their economies have a visa where people can flow freely. So if they want goods in the free, so-called free trade, they want goods across borders without taxes or anything like that, but why not human beings?
Let me ask you this. Do you have a policy, does F.L.O.C have a policy as far as naturalization is concerned?
We want people to able to adjust their status to be legal and to be in compliance with the law. Crossing the borders without papers is not a felony. It's a misdemeanor, like running a red light. And so, but we don't have a way to make it right. You run a red light, you can go pay your whatever, you know, and make it right. So we have to have a law. We have to figure out a way to get people in compliance. And that's what we need to do. Why can't we have the signatories of our U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement, signatures of that country, create a visa where people can flow freely so that the labor market can saturate itself the way we do with other goods that cross the country?
I want to share something, and I had to go back, and I did a little history lesson, but I was curious. If we talk ancestry and we look at everybody who has come to this country to make themselves, one, survive, one, work, find a place for your family. And I wanted to share, if we could, Mark and David, if we could bring up some of this, and this comes from the American Immigration Council, but it talks specifically about many of our ancestors would not have qualified under today's immigration laws. Until the late 19th century, there was very little federal regulation of immigration. There were virtually no laws to break. Before the 20th century, there was virtually no bureaucracy responsible for enforcing immigration laws. Prior to the 20s, and I know this is repeating for a lot of people, there were no numerical limitations on immigration to the U.S., but certain persons were banned from entering. That goes back to Chinese, Asian Americans, Europeans, so on and so forth. The first numerical caps on immigration and limitations on Europeans were not established until the late 1920s after the great wave of immigration to the U.S. And lastly, many European immigrants benefited from amnesties that existed, allowing them to stay here. So it's a bit of, we've heard the arguments against a lot of these things. However, it is, and I know this leans to one side, but it does tend to the argument that we're in this cycle once again of how this country was founded.
Yeah, it's repeated with every large group of immigrants that have come to this country of different nationalities. The Germans, the Italians, you name it.
But the laws, but part of that was the laws weren't in place then. The laws are in place now, just not to the degree that you say they need to be.
No, I understand that. And that's why we need to reform our law system in order to accommodate the legitimacy, document the people to come out of the shadows and document who they are, where they live, and so on. And you're going to find a lot of these people that work and live in the shadows are the most compliant to the laws as possible because they don't want to get exposed.
Can companies in this country continue to exist without the help of migrant labor?
No, they're going to need them. They're going to need it. Right now, all of the farming community in this country is crying for agricultural laborers. They can't get enough domestic people to harvest crops, so they got to bring in people. They used to rely on the undocumented people because of the immigration debate. They start turning towards this H-2A guest worker program, a temporary work visa. Now we have going close to 500,000 coming into this country this year to harvest crops. I represent about 9,000 of them in North Carolina and Virginia. And so and a lot of them tell me, they don't want to come and live here. They want to come and work, make their living in Mexico. And if they could make their living in Mexico, if we wouldn't have stolen the corn market from Mexico with our trade agreement, they would have been down there growing corn, selling it in the local market, and living happily in their families there. But now they have to migrate. And I'm telling you, historically.
Do you lobby in D.C.?
No, we don't lobby in
about
D.C. No, there's that. I don't want to get mixed up in that. I got too many people down on the bottom of the economic system to defend, and we have to lift them up and defend them so they don't get exploited and abused and taken advantage of. They get mistreated. There's a lot of wage theft and with those workers. There's a lot to do down there, and if I don't do it, who's going to do it?
I appreciate the conversation.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for being here.
You bet.
Absolutely. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back. We appreciate you being with us, as always, here on Leading Edge. The efforts of our next guests, they started well before election season really started to heat up, but it seems fitting that their efforts are being seen, they're being discussed, and they're being contemplated all about the region. I want you to say hello to both Reverend Gayle Catinella from St. Michael's in the Hills Church, as well as Raina Dawson from Advocates for Basic Legal Equality, Legal Aid of Western Ohio. I'm going to do this. This is the taping, but I forgot to have my prop ready for us when we started this. This is what they are here all about, and you've seen these signs all about town. I'll go ahead and hold that up for people there to see there at home, but I don't have to hold this up. I know you've seen them. I just wanted to kind of get a gist of the whole beginningness of this. So, Reverend, start us off. Talk us a little bit about Heart Your Neighbor, Love Your Neighbor. What's it all about? How did it start?
Well, we're looking for a way to approach the upcoming election season to kind of calm things down, to help people not to be so anxious and not to be so afraid.
Yeah.
And we thought that the easiest
So it was all about politics right out of the gate. You thought we need to cool the temperature a little bit?
Without being political.
Okay.
So what we decided was that the best way is to be a good neighbor. I mean, if you are a good neighbor, then you build relationships, you have kindness, you do things for people who are near you and far away from you. Everybody's our neighbor.
Yeah.
But everyone can be kind. It doesn't cost any money. It doesn't take much time to be a good neighbor.
We talk all the time in our newsroom. We say, lift the spirits, make sure you don't dwell into the negativity of how days can be bad. We know that during the course of any week. But Raina, you can have people that'll look at these signs and they'll think them silly, they'll think they're gimmicky, but then there are those who will look at it and say, that's powerful.
Yes.
And I'm still at home. I drove past that 30 minutes ago, and I'm still thinking about it.
Yes, it's got bright colors. It's sending a message like, absolutely, I need to love my neighbor. And even if you can't stand your neighbor, you can give them a smile and a wave.
Yeah.
And I think the most important part of this is after the election season, we're all still going to be living next to each other. And we need each other to survive.
How do you want them to read it, though? When Joe Toledo and Joe Rossford in, I don't know if they even say that. I'll have to get schooled on that. But when you have them drive by these, and when people are sticking these in the ground and they're sharing the spirit of community, but how do you want them to read it?
I want them to actually see their neighbors as people. It's really easy to look online and see all the strife and the agony and the anger, and that people are firing all these comments away. I want people to look at those signs and think, there are people next to me, and they have feelings and thoughts that are maybe similar to mine.
This is probably a dumb question, but I mean, I started looking into this a little bit and seeing some of the commentary that you guys put on the website, Neighbor to Neighbor. The fracturing of our society into good and bad people I agree with and people I don't agree with, people like me and people not like me, is moving us so far away from each other that it's hard to imagine coming together again. Is it really that bleak?
Well, I can only speak from my own experience.
Yeah.
And I hear people coming to me and saying, how do I deal with this? How do I behave in this situation? How do I respond to the hatred, to the anger, to the lies, to the things that we're hearing that are just disturbing?
Yeah.
And, you know, I can't make you or anyone be different, but I can make myself better. I can transform myself into a better neighbor. And when people see those signs, they think, you know, I should try a little harder. I should do a little better.
It's really one of those times in life, and it's hard. I mean, I've got 3 kids at home, well, 2 kids in college, 1 more at home, but you wrestle with your support of a school levy sign or support of a political candidate sign because of how that's going to be interpreted. How did we get here? I mean, has it always been that way? Do you remember growing up having your parents back something or support something and worrying about what the neighbor next door was going to say?
No.
I'm looking right at you,
No.
so they cue in.
I absolutely do not remember that. As a matter of fact, I come from a family that doesn't put yard signs up at all for safety.
Okay.
And it was something I didn't realize that it was a habit well into adulthood. But I know that currently...
This is like the politics and religion at the dinner table kind of thing, isn't it?
Yes, and it's gotten so absolutely divisive.
Yeah.
It's gotten so divisive and polarizing, and I think the media has something to do with that.
Yeah.
Which is why we didn't put anything on the sign except Heart Your Neighbor.
Yes.
We didn't put St. Michael in the Hills Episcopal Church. We didn't put Neighbor to Neighbor. We didn't put the names of our community partners. We just have that sign so that there's no distraction from the message. Love your neighbor, take care of each other, build healthy, safe communities.
How many of these have been taken? Do you know how many have been distributed?
I do. We distributed the first 1,000 in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, we distributed 1,000 signs. We're up to 2,300 now.
Up to 2,300. So continue to spread the message, those 2,300 out there. If people want one, where do they get it?
We're out.
That's not how this was supposed to go.
Sorry about that.
Wait a second, I got one.
Right.
Hold on to that.
Yeah, exactly. Ladies, thank you so much. We appreciate the time.
You're so
Spreading the
welcome.
message and sharing the message here
Yes.
today.
Love your neighbor.
Absolutely.
Right there.
Thank you.
We'll be back right after this. Welcome back. There's likely to be a packed ballot for Lucas County voters in just a few weeks. Port authorities looking for support, as well as the Area Office on Aging. Another county organization looking for support is Children's Services. Executive Director Randy Muth joining me here in studio. Randy, good to see you. Thanks for being here to talk a little bit about issue 30 that will be on the ballot in November. You told Tatiana Cash back in July, if this thing doesn't pass, you guys are going to run out of money. Is it that dire?
It is, and it's actually getting worse.
How did it get to that state?
Well, one simple reason. It's the result of federal legislation that was passed in 2018 but went into effect in Ohio in 2021. And it's a good news, bad news thing. It was legislation that child welfare as a field really wanted passed. Mm-hmm. It took us 18 years to get it passed, but unfortunately, Congress passed it in a irresponsible and short-sighted manner.
What is it? I don't want to be all hell and brimstone, but I mean, what does it look, fire and brimstone, I think is the phrase. What does it look like with this passage? What does it look like with the failure?
With the failure, we will absolutely
shut down?
Well, we won't shut down. There'll be massive cuts to services for children. Children probably won't get some of the services to the extent that they need, and it'll happen next year.
And when we crunch the numbers specifically, it's a 1.5 mil levy, correct? And it's going to generate over $13 million a year if passed. Costs a owner of a $100,000 home about $52 a year and change. But that will start in 2025, correct? Because there's another levy that's already in motion?
Yeah, we have, for the longest time, we've had 2 levies that have been perfectly adequate to support us. We've been providing all the services that the community expects in a manner.
The one up for vote is an operating levy. I want to point that out. correct?
They're all, yeah.
Or they're both operating?
They are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that one can't be renewed until next year. However, our projections told us we can't survive until next year. We'll be out of money in about this time next year. So we needed to do something in this election cycle, as much as we hated to do that.
Let's play it out even further. WTOL we love the partnership that we have with you each and every holiday season.
As do
the
we.
gift of joy. Does that go away? Is that in jeopardy? If voters say no to this, is your participation in community events like that, is that in jeopardy?
No, it will not. And the reason is that we don't use public funds for things like that. We use our partnership with this great organization, with other organizations, to provide those things that are extra for kids.
We've got some video. Of course, we've had some great seasons here with
amazing.
great turnout, but go on.
Yeah, no, and it's because of the generosity of your organization and the community that we will continue to be able to do that, even if this levy fails. If this levy fails, though, what we're talking about is not getting the services, the treatment, the level of care that children need and deserve as a result of the trauma that they've experienced through no fault of their own.
And of course, foster families, so very important here to our community. So Randy, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for spending a short little time window that we have here on Leading Edge to talk about issue 30 that is on the ballot for Lucas County voters on November 5th. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back. We always try to pack a lot into a little bit of time. Thanks for joining us here on Leading Edge this week. As a reminder, if you missed any part of our communications here with you today, you can check it out on the WTOL 11 YouTube page. I'm Jeff Smith. We hope to see you next time on Leading Edge.